Welcome to the finale of 1 month, 1 deck with Eevee Box. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching the series. It truly means a lot to me. This was a crazy 4 weeks. Eevee Box is a very tough deck to pilot, but I genuinely feel like I'm a better player now and I learned so much throughout this month. This week was the final chance to top a tournament with the deck. I spent some time practicing on the ladder leading up to the event, and for the first time in the series, I didn't make any changes to the list at all. I felt confident, prepared, and ready to give it my best shot. Tournament day came, I registered the list, double checked everything, and then we were off. Round 1 was against Mega Venusaur. This is supposed to be one of our best matchups, but that doesn't mean that we're invincible. And unfortunately, I opened really poorly and completely bricked. I couldn't establish a board at all, and I ended up losing round 1. Now in round 2 was against a Charizard variant of the Tera Box deck. We actually started incredibly strong here. I set up a Wellspring board and took 2 knockouts on my second turn, but then my opponent's game crashed. We ended up calling the judge and they ruled that we needed to restart the game from scratch, and as for the rematch, yeah, it did not go our way at all. So that put us at 0 wins, 2 losses. Now in round 3 was against Dragapult. I checked in, started planning my opening right away, and began waiting for my opponent. But they just never checked in, so after another no-show which gave us the win by default, we went into round number 4, which was against Mega Kangaskhan. Now this matchup is extremely tricky for us. You essentially use Sylveon to put back the Mega Kangaskhan's, or the Kang player just snowballs out of control. Now both of us opened very strong, and luckily my opponent only opened up a single Kang because they were forced to start Cornerstone at the beginning of the game. Then, during my second turn, I made the biggest misplay I've made all month. On my second turn, I used my only owl in hand and accidentally searched for the wrong ball card. I was so deep in planning the following turns that I didn't pay attention to what I was grabbing, and that single mistake cost me the entire game. Now, and as for round 5, it was against Zoroark. This was another no-show though, and with a record of 2 wins and 3 losses, I decided to just drop from the event. Now, this tournament was a disaster by all means, but even the best players have rough runs. What matters is not giving up. It's taking the lessons with you and getting better. If you want to try this list for yourself, the deck list is in the description below. Now let's jump straight into the first game. Alright, so the first game up is going to be round 1 with that Mega Venusaur. So as you see, our opening is actually really bad here. We have a Clefairy in hand that we could have played down, but it doesn't really do anything good in this matchup. We do have a Jet Energy, so we at least have a energy to attach for turn, but the rest of our hand is really bad. We do at least have a Hoothoot, so if we can draw into a Noctowl, we at least can find a way of making this a lot better. Now, our opponent's opening is fairly good here. They are playing the MEW EX in their deck as well, so they are able to set up a Bulbasaur, the Chikorita, and then get down a Ogerpon and find a Fez, just in case we do take a early knockout on this Bulbasaur. Here they attach for turn to the Bulbasaur, then use Mew to be able to draw 2 before passing the turn. As for us, we top deck into a Fire Energy, which isn't really good, but we can at least attach that for turn, and then we do have the Jet next turn to be able to swing, just in case we don't draw into anything that we need. Here they have a Stadium that forced Vitality into a Lillie's Determination to draw a brand new hand, and they are able to find some energy so they can start drawing with their Ogerpons once again, but they don't find the evolutions that they need, so they just hit us for 10 and pass. Now, we top deck into a Night Stretcher, which again just does nothing here. We are going to have to bench this Lillie's Clefairy if we want to do at least some decent damage. We're only able to do 60 because we needed 1 more Pokemon on the bench in order to be able to take that knockout. Now in here, they are just going to use Bug Catching Set. That way then they can try to find their evolutions. And they are going to take a second before using Teal Dance to draw 1 more time. They do find the Regigigas, which is another problematic card in this matchup against us. They do go into an Ivysaur as well, knowing that we most likely will be able to take a knockout unless they find the Mega Venusaur. So they do decide to use a Lillie's Determination to be able to redraw their hand. Now in here, they do find a Grass that they can put down onto their Regigigas before passing the turn. As for us, we top deck into yet another energy, which is the Psychic, so we at least get to put that on the Clefairy. We do get to take a knockout and take one prize, but we find another evolution, which is our Sylveon. So as you can see, it's just one brick after another, and that's kind of how this entire game has been. Yeah, it was so bad to play in this match. I was just trying and hoping so much for something, you know, just a Noctowl would have been able to make us in such a better board state and actually set us up completely. Now in here, they are able to just draw a couple more cards. They're still just trying to find what all they need. And they're just thinking about the best way that they can actually take a knockout. Here, they do use a third Lillie's Determination. They find a bug catching set. They find a Meganium plus a Grass Energy. And now it's just, do they finally have the Bayleaf plus the Meganium? If they do, then they could easily go into the Regigigas, which is a single prizer that they could take a knockout with. Now in here, they are just taking a second, really just thinking through their plays. They do have 9 cards in hand. They end up benching another Teal Mask and then using its Teal Dance to draw. They end up top decking the Bayleaf from there, going straight into the Meganium, going right into the Regigigas and taking a knockout for 2 prizes. So that is a huge tempo swing in their favor, and they were already in the lead. So here we are just going to promote up this Clefairy. We do at least top deck into the Fez, which does draw us 3. We find the Noctowl finally, and a Stadium Bump. We do have a counter catcher that we could use to try to buy some time as well. And then we are just going to have to use this Night Stretcher to get back the Terapagos. That way then we can actually use this Noctowl. And we have a lot of things that we have to play around. So here we are just going to get Dawn plus Sparkling Crystal, because that is going to be essentially the only way that we can really attack one of the following turns. And we basically are hoping that they just don't have a boss's orders to be able to knock out like our Tera Eevee. Now in here, I am really just looking through, trying to figure out exactly what we need. We know that Flareon is going to be our win condition, but we have to get rid of this Regigigas first, because that can easily one-shot our Flareons, and we can't one-shot it without using our second attack. So here we are going to grab just the regular Eevee, and then grab the Pidgeot. I was looking for the Tera Eevee, but if I remember correctly, I don't think I saw it in there at the time. Yeah, so we actually prized the Tera Eevee, which is the reason why I originally grabbed that regular boosted evolutions Eevee. But instead, we are just going to grab the Hoothoot. That way, then we can at least do another Noctowl play next turn. Now, in here, we do have the Sparkling Crystal, and I'm just going to pass the turn. There's nothing that we really have to do, and this does give us a decent board. That way, then we can have everything set up to be able to take a big knockout next turn. Now, they do have a lot of cards that are high priority to get rid of, and the most important is the Meganium. The second being the Regigigas. It does still require some energy attachments for them to be able to take a knockout if we get rid of that Meganium. Now, in here, they are just going to put down a Bulbasaur, and then take a couple seconds just to be able to think through their plays. We didn't take a knockout, so they can't use any Fez, but they do still have these Teal Mask Ogerpons, so they can still draw it by using energy. So that is something that we do have to worry about. Now, looking back, there is a pretty good play that we could do on our next turn, which is go into a Flareon and then use the counter catcher to be able to take a knockout on their Meganium. By doing so, it turns off all of the double energy, and they basically have to find ways to be able to get that Meganium back up in order to be able to swing next turn and do enough to be able to take a knockout. Now in here, they are going to play down that Forest of Vitality, getting rid of their Regigigas that they just retreated into, but they do have the Max Rod to get the Regigigas plus the Ivysaur and energy back. That way they can actually go into the Ivysaur, making it a little bit easier for them to be able to take a knockout in case we do knock out their Meganium. Here they are also going to hit us with a Iono, which is so terrible. And look at this hand that they gave us. This hand is bad. So we are basically just relying on our Fez draws, and if we can't draw into what we need, then we basically lose. Luckily, we draw into the Ultra Ball. We do at least have a Flareon in hand, and then from this Fez, we actually get the Crispin. So we need to do a couple things here. So first, we are going to use the Ultra Ball. This is going to be able to get rid of the grass plus the Fan Rotom and allow us to grab the Noctowl. We still have the Terapagos on the field, so we can go straight into the Noctowl and be able to use it. But there's a couple different things that we really need in order to be able to knock out their Meganium and stay in this game. Now in here, I am going to have to grab double Nest Ball, and there's just quite a few things that I really need, and I'm just not going to be able to grab them. So here we do grab that Eevee, and then we go straight into the Latias. The reason why we had to go double Nest Ball is because we didn't have free retreat right now, and in order to go into the Flareon and be able to use the Crispin, we needed to do it in that way. Our only chance of winning this game is through a miracle. We need them to not find a grass energy, and we need them to not find a Mega Venusaur. That way then they can't attack with their Mew EX and be able to take the final knockout on our Flareon by copying our second attack. Now that's the only way that we can win, and now it's all up to the game as to whether or not we are going to be able to do that. From the prizes, we did get a boss, so if we make it to next turn, that would be huge, but here they do find a Ultra Ball so they can get into the Mega Venusaur, so we scoop. Now in game 2 is going to be the one against the Mega Kangaskhan. As you see, our opponent is on the Bullifant variant, and they do start with the Cornerstone. As for us, we started with the Hoothoot, and we were able to get straight into a Fan Rotom, and we were looking, sadly we prized our Pidgey. That is a common occurrence with this deck, is prizing that Pidgey or prizing part of the 3-card combo that you need for it. Now in here, we are able to get right into an Eevee. We do have the Sparkling Crystal that we can attach as well. We're not worried about them swinging next turn because, for the most part, most of their Pokemon require 3 energy to really do a impact. Now in here, we do just pass over. We have one Noctowl in our hand. We could have actually grabbed a second one, but just in case they are able to take a knockout on a Hoothoot, I wanted to be able to have a third Hoothoot in hand. Now in here, they do find the Arven to get their Precious Trolley plus a Air Balloon. That way then they can get their board completely set up. One of the things that makes this matchup so hard for us is the fact that they have the Bullifant engine plus the double Monkey Dory. It means that we can't really one-shot any of their Mega Kangaskhan, and most of the time they're going to be able to heal up all of the damage that we do with cards like the new Ice Cream that came out of Phantasmal Flames. Now here we top deck into a Black Belt's Training, and then we are just going to go straight into the Noctowl. Now I'm thinking super far ahead at this point, and I'm not really paying attention to what I'm grabbing. I'm looking to see what all is in my deck real quick, just to see exactly what pieces to be able to go for the next turns. And here, as you see, I click on that Nest Ball instead of actually going for the Ultra Ball, because we needed the Ultra Ball instead to be able to actually go into the Sylveon this turn. And here I start using the Nest Ball, and that's when I realize, oh no, I made the mistake. So I have to immediately pivot into a Latias, and now I'm just scrambling to find what the better play is. And we just throw the Fan Rotom up into the active. We are going to use this Crispin. I am going to look at the Sylveon real quick. I do see that it is still in the deck, and I'm just looking to see exactly what energy it needs. We grab a Lightning and a Fire. We are going to put the Lightning into our hand, put the Fire onto the Fan Rotom, and then attach the Lightning to our Eevee that should have been a Sylveon. Now in here, I make another mistake. I realize that I didn't even have a Stadium on the field, so I end up just having to pass. At this point, it was just a very bad day for me, so I was kind of in my thoughts really bad in a negative way. So this is one of the reasons why I was just making so many mistakes right here as well. Our opponent is able to use a Crispin. Something to note is that their deck only had 2 copies of Crispin in it, and they were able to just naturally draw into one. They are able to take a knockout on the Fan Rotom. We are just going to throw up the Latias, and we're hoping to draw into a Noctowl, but we draw into a Water Energy, so at this point, the writing is on the wall. There's nothing that we can really do. We don't even have a Fez. I am going to put down another Hoothoot. We are going to throw the Noctowl up, and then I'm just going to concede. Alright, so after 1 month of grinding this deck, here are my final thoughts. Eevee Box is super difficult. It has tons of decision lines, sequencing matters constantly, and you will prize key pieces more often than you would like. But it's not all bad. In fact, the deck is incredibly powerful. You have answers into many of the top decks thanks to Eeveelutions, and most of your toughest matchups are actually rogue decks, with the only meta deck that's really difficult for you being Gardevoir. Now, overall, I think Eevee Box is perfect for players who love a challenge and want a deck that they can really invest time into. When you play it well, it does feel extremely rewarding, so it does have that for it as well. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I post new videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.